Hello to you guys and a very warm welcome back to another tutorial video here on the channel. And this is the second of the Google Earth set of tutorials, and we are continuing from what we discussed in that first video. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to provide a link here which you can follow to watch that first tutorial. If you remember this slide from that tutorial, we said this is what we are going to focus on, using Google Earth to help us achieve this initial stage. And this entire initial stage is all about gathering data from other people's work. People did work in and around your site that information will be useful to you. Now you realize I've broken it down into these steps, which in actual fact, when you go to do these, there is no order. It's all about gathering the data and making sense out of it. And also I put a note here that this data should not be a substitute for you visiting the site, because no matter how good that data is it shouldn't substitute you actually visiting the site. Think about it. Maybe those people were not having the same objectives that you have. They weren't looking for the same kinds of things. Or even if they were, maybe they weren't looking in the same place, right? Or just things change over time. So visit the site if you can for yourself. But today we are going to focus on only looking at current Google Earth maps, what kinds of information we can pull from that. And in the next tutorial, we'll look at external data sources, how to import them and make sense out of them, and then how to combine those two to then lay out your final or detailed testing program. Specifically, we'll be looking at pulling site location, checking site access, what kinds of potential problems to look out for, and what types of current developments are ongoing on your site. So let's pull up Google Earth here and we'll just teach the rest as we go on. All right, so open up Google Earth and let's work our way through this. So this is what it should look like once you open it up first. Now, if you've worked on any recent projects, it might show up here on the left. Otherwise, it will just be blank. And I'm going to show you a few of the basic tools, and then the rest we'll learn as we go on. So if you look here, you have up here a search tab, and you can search like in Google Maps. You can search for street names, street addresses, popular buildings, and stuff like that. And down here you have places tab and a layers tab. Now if you click on the arrow here, it's gonna show you what's under the places tab. The same with this one. Now under the places tab, this is where you're going to be creating all your project files and saving your work. Under here you kind of tell Google Earth what kinds of map information you want to see. Do you want to see roads? Do you want to see three-dimensional buildings and stuff like that? Okay, so once you have Google Earth opened, the first thing you want to do is create a project so that you can save it and open it up and work with it later. So you come to my places, right click on that, come to add and add a folder, and then let's name it tutorial site files, or give it any name you want. Click OK, and now you have a new file. And if you remember the slide where we broke down this tutorial, we said that we're going to look at site location. So like I said earlier, if you know street address or street name or any nearby buildings, you can type it in the search bar and then Google Earth will take you there. But if you don't and you have an idea of where it is, you can just zoom in and pan, and just zoom and pan until you get to where your site is. So let's just pick something random over here, see what we come up with. Anything. Okay, let's say this right here is the site that you are trying to develop, right? This bushy area here. So once you've located your site, the first thing you want to do is probably put a mark. Now this button here is the place mark, add place mark. You click on it and then you can just drag it and put it right here somewhere in the middle, and you can call it maybe site location or something. So let's call it site location. And you can change the appearance of that place mark. You can pick a different, marker if you want. So see this one, click OK. Right. And then maybe you also want to add a boundary line around where your site is so you can see it clearly. Now use the polygon app here and then just click around your site in one direction, right? And then you can edit the appearance of this. If you come to style and color, let's make it only outlined so that we can still see our site. And then we change the outline color, make it more visible, say red, right? That should be good. And then give it a name, maybe site boundaries, right? Okay, so now you've created your site location and you can click on this tutorial site files, which is where you've put all of these under. If you right click on that and come to save place as, and you can just save it on your desktop as tutorial site files KMZ, and that's it. So now anytime you open that KMZ file, is going to bring you here. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is check site access. So next up we are looking at site access, and really the important thing is you are trying to make sure that when you or your field crew goes out to this site, you have no problem at all getting to your testing locations. That's very important. And this is more about your thought process than what to actually do in Google Earth, because it's simple. You display your site and you look at what your site looks like. But now the thought process is, you think about what kinds of questions you ask yourself while you're looking at the site, right? So site access is all about, first of all, things like what kinds of tests do I plan to do out on this site, right? And can I get to do those tests or not? Can I get the testing equipment into this site or not? If I can, then cool. If I cannot, do I need to clear a path? Do I need to clear 3 paths? Stuff like that. So if I'm going to be clearing more than a few access points, maybe does that increase my spending? Do I need to get in touch with my client to maybe ask for more money to do the job? Stuff like that. And you're also thinking, okay, if I'm going to do any clearing, do I need to obtain license to clear? Or sometimes you even look at your site and there's a standing water body or it's ponded or something. Do I need to get equipment that can drill on water, like get a pontoon or an amphibious rig, things like that? So like I said, it's about the thought process. Everything you are doing in Google Earth right now, at least for this stage, is just looking at the site, right? But it's about the types of questions you will ask yourself while you look at the site, and then you take notes. Again, you are thinking of things like, do I need any special permissions? Say for instance, you find out that this over on the other is a military base, right? That definitely means that if you want to work this close to a military base, there's more than a good chance that you will need to obtain special permissions to come and do work out here. And so it's all about looking at the site, and really the only thing you might want to do is get a street view, which is another very useful feature in Google Earth. Just drag and drop anywhere, and it kind of gives you a virtual tour of your site. You can just sit there and look and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is very bushy. I mean, if I'm going to get in here, I definitely have to do some clearing, all right. So I think for site access, there isn't really much to it. It's like I said, it's about the types of questions you ask and the answers you get. Just try to cover all the basics, right? So that when you go out to site, you don't have any surprises. And trust me, you'll be very surprised how much damage something as simple as a locked gate can cause you. You come out here and then you realize, oh, okay, there's a fence going all around the side and it's locked at one end. You are standing there, you're trying to get in touch with your client, they are not available, and then you just end up wasting the whole day simply because you didn't realize there was a locked gate. Okay. So stuff like that, helps you prepare, helps you do your work well, and it saves you time, which means it helps you make money too. All right. So I think the next thing we are going to look at is potential site problems and how to recognize them. So let's do that. As far as identifying potential site problems, it's really important that you know the regional scope of where you are working. You have to keep in mind if you are in an area where you'd expect maybe seismic activity or sinkhole type activity and stuff like that. It helps you kind of narrow down what to look out for. So, for example, if you're in an area where you expect sinkhole activity, then you are probably looking at, finding any circular features that might be suspicious. Or if you are in an area that has seismicity, then you are probably looking for long linear features that might be suspicious. You have to keep in mind that this is just to help you pinpoint specific spots so that when you go out to the site, you can investigate them further. You don't have to sit and then make any conclusions based on just what you are seeing on Google Earth. So it's to help narrow down your search areas, but don't make any decisions simply based on that, right? Okay. So another thing that probably is more common in almost all sites, you'll be looking for mashed or waterlogged areas or even organic soil areas, right? If the site is vegetated or wooded like this one, then you are probably looking for zones where the vegetation doesn't look as green as the rest of it, because once you have the trees growing in a waterlogged area or organic silt area, it doesn't look quite as green as the rest of the surrounding wooded areas. Unfortunately, we don't have any clear indication of that here, but okay. If you come over on this side, this clearly looks like some kind of water pond or something. And you can see clearly that the trees are not as green as what is around it. Same with over here. So you want to make note of areas like this so that when you go out to the side, you can take a look and see what's actually there. Right? And if the place is not wooded and it's bare land, it's easier to recognize darkened spots where you might have organic or loose soils. You see the dark patches. So just make a note of those, and when you go out to site, take a closer look at them. And now finally, we are looking at the kinds of current developments around the site. So first of all, you want to it's a good indication if you see that people are building in and around your site. And you can even, if Google Earth has street view, you can probably just zoom in and look at some of the structures. What condition are they in? Do they look like they are falling apart, or are they standing okay? And again, you look for, maybe you have some very heavy structures that are much heavier than what you are going to build. Again, that's a good indication. It tells you that okay, maybe you'll be fine. Or you find very sensitive structures, right? Like a surgical hospital where they do laser surgery or stuff like that, or even machine foundation type areas, right? You want to make note of that so that later on, when you are making recommendations to your client, you let them know that they cannot bring certain types of equipment like vibratory equipment to the site, or heavy equipment that will cause any excessive vibrations. So all of that kinds of information you are pulling from Google Earth. And if you realize we haven't really done anything out of the ordinary, all we did was open up Google Earth, just go to our site and know what to look for, right? At least for now. In the next tutorial, we'll be bringing in external data sources, which will be a little more involved than this. But for this stage, all you just do is open up Google Earth, go to what your current site looks like, and then know what to look for, and see the amount of information you can gather from just that. So I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. I'm going to start working on that next one, and I'll try to get it to you as soon as possible. But as always, thank you for all of the support. Stay safe out there with everything going on right now. And if you haven't done already, please subscribe and support the channel. And share this video with anyone you think might need it. Thank you, and stay safe.